Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be all about my most anticipated book releases of 2024. These are the ones that I'm looking forward to hopefully reading next year. Feel free to add yours in the comment section because I'm sure I forgot some. I feel like it's really hard sometimes to keep up with everything being released, but I have about a dozen that I really want to talk about. Usually I put them in order of when they're coming out. Let me know if you prefer that, but today I think I'm going to start with the ones I'm the most excited about, and then we're going to proceed to just go through the rest. So let's get to it. I really wanted to start with this one because I have been dying for this author to come out with something that would be remotely similar to The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I'm talking about Stuart Turton. He's coming out with The Last Murder at the End of the World, and it's coming out in May, the 21st of May, and it's going to be 320 pages. So I did read the other book he came out with. It was fine, but nothing was quite as interesting as The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And I think my only complaint about that book was, well, the main thing was the ending. It was the weakness. To be fair, it was a debut novel, and it's a very difficult book to end in general. But I really like the idea of like time-related murder mystery, and I feel like this one is a little bit like that too. And let me read what it is about. Long story short, there's some kind of like fog that has been murdering everyone on the planet, and there's this island with like remnant of the population, 125 people, and everything is fine as long as they respect their curfew, their nightly curfew. And then one day they find the body of one of the scientists, and that ruins the whole thing. So from now on, they have 92 hours to figure out who did it. The thing is, something happened, and like the security system, I mean, he needs a reason, right? And it wiped off the memory of everyone, so nobody knows who did it, including the murderer. So they have 92 hours to figure out what happened, otherwise they will all be... Listen, I don't care why things are happening, but I personally really like the idea, again, of trying to solve a murder mystery and like, you have a time limit. His other book, it was a little bit similar in a sense that it was a murder mystery, but someone was reliving their day over and over, so like different bodies too. Anyway, recommend that one too. But this is the closest thing he has come out with. It's only his third book, but it's finally close enough to the other thing, and I am dying for it. I will try actually to get my hands on an advanced reader copy if I can, but I am just so excited. This is definitely one of my most anticipated releases of 2024. I have high hopes. I will try not to, but the second it's out, I will be reading it and letting you know if it is worth it. Hopefully it is, because finally. I feel like it's a mix of so many genres too, so yes, right up my alley. Looking forward to that one. Another one that I am looking forward to is The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. This one is coming out August 29th, and it's going to be 368 pages. While he has been a little bit more hit and miss for me as an author, I like the fact that he always has kind of depressed characters. But his books tend to be quite hopeful. The author has personally been dealing with depression his whole life and like suicidal thoughts and everything, and he's very open about it. He has written also non-fiction books about it, so it's a common theme in his books. And this one you're following a widow and retired math teacher, and she loses a long-time friend, and she goes on a trip to, I'm assuming, visit her? But it just completely changes her solitary life, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a book that, again, will help feel less depressed. And I can't wait. I do like his writing in general. I think that my favorite books by him tend to be the ones with a little bit of sci-fi elements. This one doesn't sound like there will be, or at least doesn't look like it. It is labeled as just contemporary, but I am excited to try this one. I feel like he's been pretty... good at publishing books regularly, but yes, that's definitely on my TBR for next year. While I'm not a big romance reader, I am still very much excited to read Funny Story by Emily Henry. This one is coming out April 23rd. She's always coming out with books in April, which I'm not mad. It's my birthday month, so that's cool. 384 pages, so it is going to be a contemporary romance, which, as expected, this is going to be my, is it third or fourth? My fifth book by her, and two of them have been like all-time favorite book lovers and beach read, and the two other ones, they were okay. I'm not like hating on them, but I just didn't really root for the romance, which like in a contemporary romance, sure, the banter is important, which she still had that for the two other books, but if I don't root for the romance, considering it's not my main genre, it's kind of not really my thing. But the other two, really love them, so of course that makes me want to read more by her. In this one, The main character was engaged to someone and they ended things whenever he realizes that he's actually in love with his childhood best friend. She ends up being roommate with the ex of the childhood best friend. Like, listen. Yes, she's always good with this. So that, plus she's a children's librarian, which they always have the coolest job related to books, which, like, of course we're all gonna love this if we read a ton of books. So I'm looking forward to that one. I don't know if they're gonna be enemies to lover-ish, but they do seem to be quite, like, opposite in terms of personalities. So the question is, will she end up falling in love with the ex-fiance's new fiance's ex? It sounds very messy in the best way possible, and just in general, I'm looking forward to reading more of her banter. I feel like she does it really, really well. If you have any other authors to recommend that is similar, I feel like it's so hard to compare, but she makes me want to read a romance every day during the summer, and so far I've been doing that, so it's all because of her. Plus, can we talk about the cover? First off, gorgeous color, one of my favorite colors, and just in general, she tends to have really, really bright covers. I want more books like this. Like, I know I don't read a ton of romance, but why do we always have really boring covers for other genres? So that one looks fun. I think it's also one of the only times that I like the US covers instead of the UK ones a lot more. This one I'm cheating a little bit, but who cares? Knights of Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson is coming out this year. This is the 5th book in the Stormlight Archive series by him. It's coming out January 1st. That's what it says. We'll see if that's actually what's going to happen, because it was originally supposed to come out this year. To be fair, I've only read the first 2 books in this series, but it's because, one, they're like 1,000 pages per book. They're like adult fantasy, by the way. Personally, I don't really love waiting in between books, especially long series. This is going to be a 10-book series, although divided in 2, so it's like 5. So this would be like the last one in that first part. The author is obviously really good at coming out with books literally every second, but still don't like to wait. So now that the next 3 books are out, I am hoping to start going back to fantasy. I took a little bit of a break for like 2 years. This year I'm back, so I think next year I will definitely be reading the 3rd, maybe the 4th one, and I'll have the 5th one. That's basically it. So yeah, I'm really not up to date with this series, but I'm still really happy that it's coming out because I will now feel free to binge read it, although I feel like binge reading 1,000-page books is not... But I might try. So that's definitely on my list, even though... But in general, that series is fantastic. If you have yet to try it, it's probably not the most beginner-friendly series because there's so much world building, because again, 10-book series. But the magic system is so interesting. His characters are so much better. Like, he has improved so much in terms of character depth in general. So yeah, love this, obviously. Now, these are probably like my top 4 books that I'm looking forward to. The rest, let's go through them fairly quickly, depending what they are. You'll see. For example, Murder Road by Simone St. James. She writes horror mystery thrillers in general. I have read 3 of her books, and my favorite is the Sundown Motel. Can't recommend that one enough. She tends to play with timeline. I'm not sure if she's going to do that in the new one, but in general she does that. And you get the back and forth in timeline, solving the murder mystery. And even though, again, they're murder mystery, they kind of feel a bit cozy to me. At least Sundown Motel. Definitely, yeah, but, you know, serial killers. But every time I talk about cozy murder mystery, I question my sanity. But it does sound like it will be a little bit like that too, because you're following a young couple who find themselves hunted by a string of gruesome murders committed on a deserted road. But it is set in 1995, so I don't know if, again, we're gonna get the timeline thing. She does consistently do it, or at least she did it for 3 books, so I am assuming it's gonna be the case again. And she tends to play with, like, supernatural-ish, which also work for me in her case. I feel like a lot of authors, you don't really know if they're going to do it or not, and it's not necessarily well handled, but so far I have enjoyed the way she does it. So yes, I'm looking forward to that one. I didn't say it, but it's coming out March 5th, and I'm not seeing a number of pages. Let me see a different edition. Oh, 350. I don't know why, but I like to know. Another mystery thriller author that I tend to read fairly consistently is Megan Miranda. Her books have been like 3.5 stars for me, which doesn't sound really good, but again, she writes murder mysteries in small towns usually, and it's giving me cozy vibes. My favorite books by her would be All the Missing Girls, and what's her most recent one? The Only Survivor, which seems to be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's one of her best. the premise doesn't sound super clear, but it seems to be involving the daughter of a local detective in a small town. She goes back there and she seems to be finding information to learn more about her mother's disappearance. So it seems like it's going to be similar to her other books in a good way. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to pick it up, but Ruth Ware is coming out with One Perfect Couple, May 28, 416 pages. Another mystery thriller. I feel like this author has been more miss than hit for me lately, so I think I'm going to wait to see the ratings, to be honest. But the premise sounds interesting. You have it's a thriller with 5 couples that are trapped on a storm-swept highland as a killer is among them. So I'm intrigued, but I think I might wait to see what the people say. A new author for me was P. Jelly Clark. I'm pretty sure this is how you pronounce it. I just listened to an audiobook and that's how they said it. He's coming out with The Dead Cat Tail Assassins. It's coming out April 23rd. It's going to be 224 pages. Maybe I should include that in my Crazy Cat Lady vlog that I'm hoping to do, where I read books about cats, because I have a ton of cats for anyone new. But I feel like maybe. In this case, this is an adult fantasy novella. This group of assassins basically are like dressed up-ish by cats. By cats, I wish. Have you ever seen, I think there's a TikTok creator that lets their cat decide how they're gonna dress. Don't ask me how I got there, but I saw that. I also was curious enough to add another book by an author I have tried this year for the first time. She's the author of Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, which pretty intense title, but I liked the humor enough that I was curious to try something else by her, and she is coming out with Interesting Facts About Space, which don't be fooled by the title. She writes contemporaries, and it's mostly, again, the way she writes, the humor that tends to be relatable, I guess. And the main character sounds a little similar to the other book, so I wanted to try it. It says that the main character is a lesbian, serial dater, deaf in one ear, space-obsessive, true crime fanatic, and she's going through her first relationship, but also dealing with her mother, who is depressed. So it's probably going to be like very character driven also, and I wanted to try it. This one is coming out January 30th, and it's going to be 305 pages. So wanted to try that one. I'm curious to give her a second shot because I did, again, like the way she writes and was curious to see if it would be good. More authors I want to read more from. Adrian Tchaikovsky's coming out with Alien Clay in March the 28th. It's going to be 416 pages. He writes as many books as Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if you guys have realized, he's coming out with new books constantly, and I struggle to keep up with it, to be honest. I have read a bunch of his books at this point, like I want to say at least 5 or 6, and I have enjoyed all of them, like at least liked, like a 3 stars, nothing under that, so I feel like it's a fairly safe bet to try more by him. And he usually seems to be making some social commentary through them, or at least some of them. And it seems to be the case with this one because you're following a professor that is very vocal about politics and ecology. And he is sent, because he's not agreeing with the government, to this different planet that is basically made for inmates. And they realize that humanity is not the first source of life. Yeah, first intelligent life to be on there. So I love First Contact with Aliens, to be honest. So I'm really curious to see what he has to say, because he has written a lot of books on that specific topic, and again, they have worked for me. I might wait to see what people have to say, because I need to just go and look at everything he has written and pick the ones that I'm the most interested in, because again, he's coming out with so many books, it's hard to keep up, but I have been enjoying myself. So there's that. And then next one, I'm kind of cheating, but at this point, it's my list. I can do what I want. The Lotus Empire is coming out in July. And I just finished the first book in that series. This is the 3rd one. So am I cheating? Yes. But does it matter? Not really. Because I don't like waiting in between books in series, and book 2 is already out. I will be ordering it because I really enjoyed. This is an adult fantasy series, by the way. And a lot of political intrigue, a lot of world building, and the magic system was so interesting in book 1. And like, you get a bunch of it, but I feel like we're gonna get so much more in the rest. There's a slow burn romance, sapphic romance, and yeah, book 3 is out, so I can binge read the series now. Okay, the last one is not technically on my list, but I want to make fun of myself and I feel like I want to hear people's feedback whenever they have read it. So if I mention it, you can do that. So Peter Swanson is coming out with a new book, and I'll admit he is on my list of authors I said I would never read anything else by again. I just did that video if you're curious. And he's coming out with A Talent for Murder in July. Okay. Listen, he is on that list for a reason, and I believe this is related to his most popular series, The Kind Worth Killing, and he's just came out with A Kind Worth Saving. The first book is my favorite book by him. The second one was kind of in my opinion, but he's coming out with another book related to it, I think, and part of me is curious, but to be fair, I have read so many of his books. Let me count, because like I know it's like 7 or 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've read 8 of his books. So like that's why part of me is like, what about one more? But no, enough is enough. But yes, I am still curious to see what people will have to say. I just wanted to mention it because 8, I have a problem. That's it. I feel like it's not that many, but again, it's still really early. We're in December, so more books will be announced, I'm sure, throughout the year. And feel free once again to mention yours in the comment section, because we might not have the same authors. There are plenty of authors that are probably coming out with new books, but I haven't tried anything by them yet. So of course, don't really want to add more on my list. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe. I'll put more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, including the one where I say I'm never going to read anything else by Peter Swanson, and here I am. And I will see you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye.